They told you that you need money to make money. They told you the system is rigged. They told you that unless you're born into privilege, wealth will always be out of reach. But what if they were wrong? What if the truth is that wealth isn't about money at all? It's about mindset, discipline, and relentless execution. Because right now, there are people with less talent, fewer resources, and more obstacles than you, building empires from nothing. They didn't start with millions. They started with clarity, with hunger, and with the courage to act when no one else believed in them. You see, building wealth from zero is not a dream for the lucky. It's a skill for the disciplined. The rich don't have secrets. They have systems. They think differently. They act differently. And most importantly, they wait differently. They understand that wealth doesn't grow overnight. It compounds quietly, like a seed in the dark, until one day it bursts into an unstoppable tree of abundance. Every rich person you admire today had a zero moment. A point where their bank account was empty, but their belief account was full. The truth is, money flows to those who master patience, value, and time. It doesn't matter where you start. What matters is whether you start now. Most people spend their entire lives chasing money, while the wealthy build systems that make money chase them. They use money as a tool, not a trophy. They don't work for it, they make it work for them. So the real question is not, can you become rich? The real question is, are you ready to become the kind of person who can handle wealth? Because until you transform the way you think, you'll sabotage every dollar that comes your way. This is the journey of building wealth from zero. It's not about luck. It's about design. It's not about what you have. It's about what you do with what you have. And starting today, you'll discover that you are the greatest asset you'll ever own. To build wealth from zero, you must first build habits before you build numbers. Every rich person has a foundation, an internal system that governs their decisions, emotions, and discipline. Money is not emotional. It's mathematical. You must learn how it moves, multiplies, and flows. The wealthy know that every dollar is a soldier sent to work. The poor spend their soldiers on comfort. The rich send theirs to conquer. When you start from zero, your power lies not in what you have, but in what you control. You control your time, your focus, and your choices. Every unnecessary purchase, every wasted hour, every distraction costs you more than money. It costs you freedom. Before you pay bills, before you buy luxuries, before you even think of impressing anyone, pay yourself. Even if it's 5% of your income, protect it. Because saving is not about the amount. It's about the discipline. And discipline compounds into freedom. Your brain is the ultimate investment account. Learn sales, communication, psychology, or coding. Any skill that multiplies your earning power. Because if you can double your skills, you can double your income. Skills create value, and value creates wealth. Whether in money, habits, or learning, everything compounds. Read 10 pages a day, save 10 a day, improve 1% each day. It may seem small, but over time, it builds an unstoppable momentum. The poor underestimate time, the wealthy leverage it. Wealth whispers. It doesn't need to scream. The moment you start buying to impress, you've already lost the game. The poor want to look rich. The rich want to stay rich. Quiet your ego and let your investments do the talking. The goal of wealth is not just freedom from work. It's freedom from worry. Automate your savings, schedule your investments, track your spending. Systems protect you from emotion, and emotion is the greatest enemy of financial growth. Remember, wealth isn't a number, it's a state of mind. It's waking up without fear, sleeping without regret, and knowing your money is working while you rest. The truth is, your first investment is not in stocks, real estate, or crypto. It's in your discipline. Because wealth doesn't start in your wallet, it starts in your mind. So, how do you build wealth from zero? You start where you are, with what you have, and you never stop. You stay consistent when it's boring, disciplined when it's hard, and patient when it's slow. Because in the end, time will reward those who respect it. You don't need luck. You don't need privilege. You just need purpose. Every dollar saved, every book read, every opportunity taken, they all stack quietly, powerfully, until one day you'll wake up financially free. Remember, this: wealth doesn't change who you are, it reveals who you've become. Build yourself, and wealth will follow. This is not the end. It's the beginning of your financial awakening. From zero to abundance, from confusion to clarity, from surviving to thriving. Start small. Think big. Move now. They say money changes people, but the truth is, money only exposes who they already were. The foundation of wealth doesn't begin in your wallet, it begins in your mind. Every millionaire, every self-made success, every empire that rose from the dirt started first as a thought. A belief that something greater was possible. The richest people in the world didn't start with money. They started with a decision. A decision to think differently. When everyone else thought small, wealth begins when your thinking shifts from consumption to creation. Most people live in a cycle of earning and spending, trapped by instant gratification and emotional habits. They think of money as something to use, not something to grow. But the wealthy see money as a living energy, a force that responds to discipline, creativity, and purpose. They don't chase dollars, they build systems that attract them. They understand a truth that few ever realize. You don't become rich by working harder, you become rich by thinking better. Every thought you entertain about money shapes your destiny. Tell yourself that money is evil, and your subconscious will push it away. Believe that wealth is unattainable, and your mind will create reasons to prove you right. But if you decide that wealth is a tool, a vehicle for freedom, contribution, and self-mastery, then your mind begins to open to new paths, new opportunities, and new realities. Your financial life mirrors your mental life. The more ordered, focused, and intentional your thoughts become, the more your outer world aligns with abundance. You can't build an empire with a poor mindset. That's why most lottery winners lose everything. Because they never learned to think rich. Give a poor mind $1 million, and it will spend it. Give a rich mind $10, and it will multiply it. The difference isn't the balance, it's the belief system. A poor mindset asks, how can I get through today? A rich mindset asks, how can I grow for tomorrow? The truth is, your beliefs about money are inherited from your parents, your environment, your culture. You may have been told that money is hard to earn, that only the lucky get rich, that success means greed. But those are stories written by people who gave up on their own dreams. If you want wealth, you must rewrite the story you tell yourself. You must unlearn the fear of money and replace it with respect for its potential. You must stop seeing money as a master and start seeing it as a servant. And here's the paradox. When you stop needing money, you start attracting it. When you move from desperation to determination, from scarcity to strategy, your energy changes. You begin to notice opportunities that others miss. You start making decisions from logic, not emotion. You stop asking, "What can I buy?" and start asking, "What can I build?" That's the shift. That's the invisible line between the broke and the wealthy. Wealth doesn't reward talent alone, it rewards awareness. The more you understand about how value is created, the more valuable you become. Every business, every paycheck, every investment is built on one principle: value exchange. The poor trade time for money. The rich trade value for money. One is limited, the other is infinite. The rich spend their energy creating things that last. Products, systems, ideas, services. Things that make money even when they sleep. So, if you're starting from zero, your first job isn't to make money, it's to build your mindset. Replace excuses with execution. Replace envy with education. Replace fear with focus. Don't ask, "Why them?" Ask, "How can I learn from them?" The moment you stop resenting the wealthy and start studying them, you begin to join them. Every day, the average person scrolls through social media, comparing their lives to others, wasting mental energy on illusion. But the wealthy use their time to learn. They read, they listen, they observe. They don't chase trends, they chase truth. They understand that wealth doesn't happen in weeks. It grows in silence, over years of discipline. That's why mindset is everything. Because the mind controls the habits, and habits control the outcome. Imagine your mind as fertile soil. Every thought you plant will eventually grow, but you choose the seeds. If you plant doubt, you'll harvest limitation. If you plant confidence, you'll harvest opportunity. Most people water weeds, fears, complaints, and excuses, and wonder why nothing grows. But the wealthy water discipline, focus, and courage, and they harvest freedom. Here's the real secret: money is neutral. It doesn't care who you are. It only flows to where it's respected, multiplied, and managed. The universe rewards responsibility. When you can handle little, you are trusted with more. When you waste what you have, life takes it away. That's why the journey to wealth begins long before the first dollar is earned. It begins with gratitude, self-control, and a vision that stretches beyond comfort. So many people dream of riches but think like victims. They blame the economy, the government, or fate, but the rich think like architects. They design their future. They don't wait for opportunity, they build it. Every decision they make, every hour they use, every risk they take, it all comes from a core belief: I am the creator of my circumstances. You want to become wealthy? Start thinking like a creator, not a consumer. Stop saying, "I can't," and start asking, "How can I?" Stop fearing failure and start learning from it. Every mistake is tuition in the school of wealth. Every setback is a lesson in patience. Every rejection is redirection. Building wealth from zero starts with one transformation. Not financial, but mental. Once your thoughts rise, your income follows. Once your discipline strengthens, your opportunities expand. Once your self-belief becomes unshakable, no amount of struggle can hold you down, because wealth is not what you earn. It's what you become. You don't need permission. You don't need luck. You just need a mind powerful enough to see possibilities where others see problems. Because that's where wealth is created. Not in the bank, but in the mind that dares to dream, plan, and act when everyone else is standing still. That's where it all begins. right here, in your thoughts, in your focus, in your choice to become more, learn more, and think bigger. Because the moment your mindset changes, everything changes. Pay yourself first. It sounds simple, yet it's one of the most powerful wealth principles ever discovered. Most people spend their entire lives working for money, only to realize that money was never working for them. They earn, they spend, and at the end of the month, there's nothing left. The cycle repeats, year after year, paycheck after paycheck, until the dream of financial freedom fades into frustration. But those who build true wealth live by one rule that separates them from the crowd. They pay themselves first, no matter what. Think about it. Every time you get paid, there's a line of people waiting for your money. Bills, subscriptions, debt, taxes, temptations. The world has designed itself to take from you the moment you earn. If you don't protect your future, no one else will. Paying yourself first is not about greed. It's about respect. Respect for your time, for your work, for your future. It means before you reward the world, you reward yourself. When you pay yourself first, you send a message to your mind that your future matters more than your impulses. You start shifting from short-term pleasure to long-term power. And that's where true financial transformation begins. It's not about how much you make. It's about how much you keep. The average person increases their expenses every time their income rises, thinking comfort equals progress. But comfort kills growth. The wealthy know that every dollar saved today is a soldier ready to fight for your freedom tomorrow. Imagine if every time you got paid, you took 10% and hid it from the world. Not to spend, but to grow. You'd begin to see money differently. That small percentage would turn into power, into peace of mind, into a foundation for freedom. You'd no longer be chasing money to survive. You'd be directing it to serve you. The poor buy things they can't afford to impress people they don't know. The rich invest in their future before they spend a dime on pleasure. The moment you pay yourself first, something magical happens. You start taking control. You stop being a victim of circumstance and start becoming the architect of your destiny. You learn to prioritize discipline over desire, purpose over pleasure. That decision changes everything, because wealth doesn't reward emotion. It rewards structure. And here's the truth: most people avoid saving money is not about the amount. It's about the habit. If you can't save when you earn a little, you won't save when you earn a lot. Wealth is built through consistency, not occasional effort. The person who saves 10% every month, even from a small income, will eventually surpass the person who waits to earn more before starting. Because while the world waits for the perfect moment, the disciplined are already building theirs. When you pay yourself first, you begin to experience a mental shift. You stop viewing saving as a sacrifice and start seeing it as a strategy. Each time you transfer that money into your savings or investment account, you're building something invisible. A foundation of confidence. That's the real wealth. Peace of mind. The knowledge that if something goes wrong, you're prepared. The power of knowing your money is growing quietly, even while you sleep. But the truth is, most people fail at this because they rely on emotion, not systems. They tell themselves, "I'll save whatever's left." But there's never anything left. The world is full of distractions, carefully designed to drain your wallet. You must automate your discipline. The wealthy set up systems that save before they spend. Automatic transfers, investment accounts, fixed contributions. Why? Because systems don't forget. Systems don't get emotional. Systems don't get tempted. Paying yourself first is not just a financial habit. It's a psychological transformation. It teaches you control, restraint, and delayed gratification. Every dollar you save becomes a symbol of who you are becoming. Someone who values freedom over impulse. Someone who's building an invisible empire brick by brick. And don't let anyone fool you. Saving money isn't boring. It's empowering. There's a thrill in watching your account grow, knowing you created that security. Each deposit is proof that you are no longer controlled by circumstances, you are in control of them. Each saved dollar whispers a promise that your future is getting stronger, that your stress is getting smaller, that your dream is coming closer. When you start saving consistently, you begin to think differently about spending. Suddenly, you question every purchase. You start asking, does this bring me closer to my goals or further away? That's when true financial intelligence is born. When you stop buying for ego and start building for legacy, you start recognizing that every impulsive purchase steals from your freedom. Every dollar wasted today is a day of freedom lost tomorrow. Paying yourself first is the act of turning money from a fleeting visitor into a loyal ally. It's how you shift from chasing income to creating independence. And here's the irony. When you master this mindset, wealth begins to flow naturally. Because discipline creates space for opportunity. When you have money saved, you can take risks others can't. You can invest when others panic. You can walk away from jobs that don't fulfill you. You can say no to things that don't align with your purpose. That's what paying yourself first truly means. Not hoarding money, but buying freedom. Freedom to choose how you spend your time. Freedom to live life on your terms. Freedom to say yes only to what truly matters. It's not about living cheap. It's about living wise. Most people think wealth is a number, but it's really a feeling. A sense of control over your destiny. Paying yourself first is how you reclaim that control. It's how you stop living paycheck to paycheck, mentally and financially. It's how you build a life where money serves you, not the other way around. So the next time you get paid, remember this. You worked for that money. You sacrificed time, energy, and effort for it. Don't give it all away the moment it arrives. Keep a piece of it. Protect it. Nurture it. Watch it grow. Because one day, that simple act of paying yourself first will be the difference between surviving and thriving. Your wealth won't come from sudden luck. It will come from silent discipline. From the small, consistent actions that compound into greatness. The world may not notice it now, but one day your results will speak louder than any luxury ever could. Because while others spent their money, you built your future, and that is the real definition of power. Money is not the goal, mastery is. Because if you can master skills, money will always find you. The truth is, you can lose everything. Your job, your savings, your comfort. But if your skills are sharp, you'll rise again. That's why the truly wealthy never fear starting from zero. They know that their greatest asset isn't in a bank account. It's in their mind, their experience, their adaptability. Skills are the ultimate currency. They appreciate over time, can't be taxed away, and can't be stolen. When you invest in your skills, you invest in something inflation can't touch: your value. Too many people chase money without ever increasing their worth. They think a higher paycheck means progress, but it doesn't. Progress is when you can create value out of thin air. Progress is when you can walk into any room, any situation, any economy, and still find a way to win. And that only happens when your skills are undeniable. When you learn to solve problems others can't, the world will pay you whatever you ask, because money always flows to value, and value is built through skills. Look around. Every successful person you admire, every entrepreneur, artist, leader, investor, they didn't stumble upon wealth. They built it with precision through the quiet, daily sharpening of their abilities. They studied their craft until it became second nature. They understood that every hour spent learning was an investment, one that compounds for life. You see, when you learn how to sell, how to persuade, how to communicate, how to build, how to lead, you no longer depend on chance. You become self-made by design. Here's the hidden truth about wealth: money follows mastery, and mastery demands obsession. It demands time, effort, and patience when the world is distracted by entertainment. Most people want results without refinement, income without improvement, reward without repetition. But the world doesn't pay for average. It pays for excellence. The reason some people make 10 times more than others isn't luck, it's leverage. They've developed rare skills that few can match. Think about it: if your only skill is to show up, you'll earn just enough to survive. But if your skill is to create impact, to write words that sell, to lead teams that perform, to think strategically, then the world has no choice but to reward you. That's why you should never chase a paycheck. Chase competence, because when you become great at something valuable, the paycheck will chase you. Every hour you spend scrolling, someone else is learning. Every moment you waste complaining, someone else is building. The difference between rich and poor isn't opportunity, it's focus. The rich spend their time acquiring skills that compound. The poor spend their time seeking distractions that decay. Every skill you learn adds another layer to your income ceiling. The more you know, the more you can do, and the more the world will pay for your ability to solve problems. When you invest in your skills, you gain something even more powerful than money: freedom. You no longer fear losing your job because you've become irreplaceable. You no longer rely on one source of income because your skills can create multiple. You no longer feel stuck because your abilities give you options. That's the quiet confidence of the skilled. They know they can rebuild anything, anytime, anywhere. But let's be clear, developing valuable skills requires sacrifice. You'll need to trade comfort for competence, entertainment for education, short-term pleasure for long-term power. There will be nights when you study while others sleep, mornings when you practice while others procrastinate. You'll question whether it's worth it. And that's the test. Because every great skill demands struggle before it delivers success. Imagine this: 2 people earn the same salary. One spends every evening watching shows. The other spends those hours learning communication, leadership, or digital marketing. Fast forward 3 years. One is still complaining about raises, the other is creating new income streams. The same time, the same life, completely different results. The difference: skill. The modern world doesn't reward time anymore, it rewards transformation. You could work 8 hours a day for someone else, or spend 2 hours a day building skills that set you free. The choice is yours. Learn to code, to write, to sell, to invest, to negotiate, because every skill you master multiplies your earning potential. The future belongs to those who can adapt. And here's the hook. When you invest in yourself, no one can ever take that from you. Companies can fire you, economies can collapse, trends can fade, but your skill set will always be your passport to opportunity. Skills are your insurance policy against uncertainty. The more valuable you become, the less you depend on luck. There's a reason billionaires spend more on learning than luxury. They understand that knowledge is leverage. Every new skill creates new possibilities. It's how they move faster, think deeper, and act wiser than the average person. Because in a world where everyone is replaceable, the most powerful person is the one who can't be. Start by learning one skill that multiplies your value. Maybe it's public speaking, the ability to move a room with your words. Maybe it's sales, the art of persuading others to believe. Maybe it's investing, turning money into more money. Or maybe it's leadership, inspiring others to follow your vision. Whatever it is, master it until it becomes part of who you are. And don't just learn for the sake of knowing. Learn to apply. Knowledge without action is noise. True mastery comes from repetition, feedback, and humility. Fail fast, learn fast, grow faster. Because every mistake made in practice becomes a profit in performance. The truth is, wealth doesn't come from doing more. It comes from becoming more. You don't need to know everything. Just a few things deeply enough to become exceptional. Be so good that people can't ignore you. Be so skilled that your work speaks louder than your words. Be so valuable that money becomes a natural consequence of who you are. Remember this: skills create freedom, freedom creates choices, and choices create wealth. So stop wishing for more money and start working on more ability. The wealthiest people in the world don't have better luck. They have better leverage, and that leverage begins the moment you stop chasing comfort and start chasing competence. Because in the end, money fades, markets shift, and trends die. But your skills, your discipline, and your mastery remain. Those who invest in skills never start from zero. They carry their wealth inside them. And that is a kind of wealth no one can ever take away. The secret to wealth is not speed. It's patience. In a world that glorifies instant success, quick money, and overnight fame, the real winners are the ones who understand the quiet, invisible force that builds empires. Compounding. Compounding is the art of letting time do the heavy lifting. It's the reason some people who start small end up with more than those who started big. It's not magic, it's mathematics, fueled by consistency and discipline. Most people overestimate what they can do in a month, but underestimate what they can achieve in 5 years. The wealthy understand this. They don't chase quick wins, they plant seeds that grow into forests. Think of compounding as momentum for your life. Every small habit, every saved dollar, every hour spent learning, every moment spent improving. They all multiply quietly in the background. It's like gravity working for you instead of against you. The poor quit too early. The rich persist long enough to see results that seem impossible to everyone else. Because compounding doesn't reward those who start strong, it rewards those who stay consistent. Let's take money, for example. Saving 10 a day seems meaningless. It feels like a drop in the ocean, but with time and consistent investing, that small drop turns into waves of wealth. A single dollar invested wisely can grow into hundreds, not because of the amount, but because of the time it's given to multiply. That's the beauty of compounding. It rewards patience in a world that's addicted to speed. But compounding isn't just about finance. It's about life. Every time you read, you're compounding knowledge. Every workout builds strength that leads to longevity. Every act of discipline compounds into character. Compounding is the silent force behind mastery, wealth, confidence, and success. It's not visible in days. It's visible in decades. And that's why most people miss it. They're too busy chasing the next thing, abandoning what works before it has time to grow. The truth is, compounding demands faith. Faith that your small efforts will one day yield massive returns. It's like planting a seed and trusting that beneath the soil, something powerful is happening, even when you can't see it. That's where most people fail. They pull the seed out to check if it's growing, never realizing that patience is the fertilizer of success. If you look closely, every wealthy person you admire mastered the art of delayed gratification. They sacrificed short-term pleasure for long-term power. They understood that compounding turns effort into results and time into freedom. They didn't rush the process, they respected it. They knew that success is not a single explosion. It's a slow, steady burn that turns consistency into legacy. Here's the truth that many ignore: time is the most powerful investor in the world. You can make more money, but you can never make more time. That's why every moment spent learning, building, and growing is an investment with guaranteed returns. Compounding is the closest thing to magic that reality allows. It transforms small, daily actions into extraordinary results that defy logic, but only for those who trust the process long enough to witness it. The problem is, society has conditioned people to crave immediacy. We scroll for stimulation, spend for satisfaction, and quit when results don't appear fast enough. But wealth, real wealth, doesn't work that way. It rewards the ones who move slowly, steadily, and intelligently. The ones who say, "I'll build now so I can rest later," instead of, "I'll rest now and hope to build later." Compounding punishes the impatient and blesses the consistent. You can't rush growth. You can only nurture it. You can't force results. You can only earn them through persistence. Every investor, every athlete, every successful entrepreneur knows this truth. Consistency beats intensity. It's not about doing something massive once. It's about doing something meaningful daily. The greatest returns in life come quietly. You won't notice them at first. The small savings, the extra hour of learning, the slight improvement in your craft. But give it a year, give it 5, give it 10, and everything changes. The results become so disproportionate that people will call you lucky, never realizing you just waited longer than they did. You see, wealth has its own rhythm. It doesn't dance to the beat of urgency. It moves with the flow of time. The wealthy don't ask, "How fast can I get rich?" They ask, "How long can I stay disciplined?" They know the answer to that question determines everything, because wealth built slowly stays, wealth built quickly fades. Here's the painful truth: impatience is the enemy of progress. It makes people jump from one idea to another, one job to another, one investment to another, always starting, never compounding. The result: a lifetime of effort with little to show for it. Meanwhile, the patient person who stuck to one plan, one system, one vision, quietly becomes unstoppable. Every great thing in life compounds: trust, knowledge, health, relationships, and yes, wealth. The key is to keep showing up even when you don't see results. The gym doesn't reward one workout, it rewards 100. The market doesn't reward one investment, it rewards decades. Your mind doesn't grow from one book, it grows from a library. Compounding works in both directions. If you feed your mind negativity every day, it compounds into insecurity. If you waste your time, it compounds into regret. But if you feed your life discipline, gratitude, and consistency, it compounds into power. The law of compounding never stops. It just depends on what you're compounding. That's why the most successful people on earth are often the calmest. They don't panic during storms because they've been compounding for years. Their systems, habits, and investments are rooted deep, unshaken by temporary noise. They've learned that time is their ally, not their enemy. So remember this: the small things matter. The boring routines, the small savings, the daily discipline. That's where wealth hides. Not in the lottery ticket, not in the get-rich schemes, but in the slow, patient, relentless accumulation of progress. Compounding isn't about speed. It's about staying long enough for time to multiply your effort. The question isn't whether compounding works. The question is whether you can wait long enough for it to work for you. Because once it does, the growth becomes unstoppable. What once seemed impossible becomes inevitable. That's the silent power of compounding. It rewards the ones who believe, persist, and play the long game when everyone else quits too soon. Most people fail not because they lack talent, but because they lack belief. The difference between those who build extraordinary lives and those who settle for mediocrity is not found in intelligence, resources, or opportunity. It's found in mindset. Your beliefs shape your reality long before your actions do. The person who believes they can, eventually will. The person who doubts themselves, even with all the tools in hand, will find a reason to stop. Success doesn't start with ability. It starts with conviction. The most powerful engine behind achievement isn't external. It's the quiet, unshakable belief that whispers, "I can do this." Everything begins in the mind. Before you win in life, you must win in thought. Before a building touches the sky, it's first designed on paper. Invisible yet detailed. The same applies to success. The foundation is mental, not material. If you think small, you build small. If you think impossibility, you live impossibility. The mind does not argue, it obeys. It manifests whatever narrative you feed it. The tragedy is, most people spend their lives feeding their mind doubts, fears, and limitations. Then wonder why their lives mirror that same pattern. The human mind is the most powerful tool on earth, but it's also the most dangerous if left unmanaged. What you consistently tell yourself becomes the architecture of your destiny. Tell yourself you're not ready, and you'll never act. Tell yourself it's too hard, and you'll never begin. Tell yourself you're meant for more, and suddenly the world starts bending toward your belief. The mind is magnetic. It attracts opportunity or repels it based on the strength of your conviction. Look around you. Every great leader, every visionary, every world changer started as someone who believed they could. Before they had evidence, before they had support, before anyone believed in them. They believed in themselves. That's what separates those who move the world from those who merely watch it move. The rich, the influential, the extraordinary, they all share one unbreakable trait. They see themselves as capable, deserving, and destined for more. That's not arrogance. That's self-certainty, born from understanding that the world reflects what you project. When you believe in yourself, everything changes. Decisions become easier, fear becomes smaller, and the path becomes clearer. You stop waiting for permission and start creating your own opportunities. You begin to act like the person you intend to become, and that simple shift changes the way life responds to you. You start walking differently, speaking differently, thinking differently, because belief doesn't just sit quietly in your mind. It radiates through your entire being. It communicates to the universe, to people, and to circumstances that you're ready. But belief isn't something that magically appears. It's something you build. It's forged in moments of doubt, when you choose to keep going anyway. It grows every time you act in faith, rather than fear. It strengthens when you silence the inner voice that says, "You can't," and replace it with, "Watch me." Confidence is a result, not a prerequisite. You don't wait to believe after you succeed. You believe first, and that belief drives the success. The truth is, the world is built on self-belief. The airplane, the internet, the light bulb, the skyscraper. All of them began as thoughts in someone's mind. Ideas that the world once called impossible became inevitable because someone refused to surrender their belief. The most valuable currency in life is not money, it's belief. Because belief turns ideas into actions, actions into habits, and habits into reality. Without belief, even the best plans collapse. With belief, even impossible dreams begin to take shape. You must train your mind to believe before you see. That's what separates dreamers from doers. Most people need evidence before they commit. The successful, on the other hand, commit before they have evidence. They understand that belief creates momentum, and momentum creates proof. The moment you believe in something fully, a goal, a vision, a version of yourself, your brain begins to look for ways to make it real. That's not spirituality, that's psychology. The mind seeks alignment between belief and reality, and it will rewire your actions until they match what you truly believe. But here's the paradox. The more powerful your dreams are, the more resistance you'll face. The universe will test your belief. It will throw setbacks, delays, and doubts your way, not to break you, but to refine you. To see if your belief is conditional or unshakable. That's when you must double down, not when everything is working, but when nothing is. Because that's the proving ground of greatness. When you stand firm in belief, even when results are invisible, you tell the world that your faith is stronger than your fear. It's not about pretending everything is easy. It's about trusting yourself enough to face what's hard. Self-belief doesn't eliminate fear. It allows you to move despite it. The confident person still feels uncertainty. They've just decided that doubt will never have the final word. Every great story, every victory, every transformation begins with a person who refused to let disbelief dictate their destiny. The truth is simple. The way you see yourself determines how far you'll go. If you see yourself as average, you'll act average. If you see yourself as capable, you'll take risks others won't. The mind is the gatekeeper of your potential. Open it with belief, and you'll find opportunities everywhere. Close it with fear, and you'll miss them even when they're right in front of you. So feed your belief daily. Protect it like a fire in a storm. Surround yourself with people who remind you of your greatness, not your limits. Read things that lift you, not drain you. Speak words that empower you, not weaken you. Every thought is a seed, and your belief determines what grows. There will always be people who doubt you. There will always be voices, both external and internal, that whisper you're not enough. But remember, this belief is louder. When you believe deeply enough, even the universe listens. It rearranges itself to match the frequency of your conviction. That's not luck. That's alignment. You are the architect of your destiny, and your belief is the blueprint. Whatever you think you can or can't do, you're right. So believe boldly. Believe unapologetically. Believe until your mind, your body, and your life have no choice but to rise to the level of that belief. Because once you truly believe in yourself, the world will too. The difference between those who thrive and those who struggle isn't intelligence, luck, or talent. It's structure. The people who win in life don't rely on motivation, they rely on systems. Motivation fades, moods fluctuate, and inspiration is temporary. But systems don't care how you feel. They execute whether you're tired, distracted, or uninspired. They keep you disciplined when your emotions try to pull you off course. The truth is, every successful person you admire has built a world of structure around them that turns progress into habit and habit into destiny. When you look at the wealthy, the productive, the fulfilled, what you're seeing isn't just effort, it's architecture. They've designed their lives with precision, eliminating chaos by turning their goals into automatic routines. Because success isn't a one-time act, it's a series of repeated actions performed with consistency and clarity. Most people rely on bursts of energy, sudden waves of motivation, or emotional highs to push forward. But those waves always crash. The extraordinary ones build systems that keep going long after the emotion has died. Imagine this: you wake up every day, and without even thinking, you're saving money, improving your skills, growing your business, taking care of your health. You're not wrestling with decisions or battling procrastination. It's already built into your system. That's the beauty of automation. You don't have to wake up every day and fight the same internal battle. You've already won the war by removing the need to choose. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. The world is full of people with dreams, but very few with designs. It's not enough to want something. You must create the structure that makes achieving it inevitable. The person who wants to get fit but never schedules their workouts will fail. The person who wants to save but doesn't automate their finances will always find a reason to spend. The key is to make the right decisions once and then build systems that repeat those decisions for you. Systems turn discipline into default. Money works the same way. If you want to become financially free, you must create systems that make wealth automatic. Save a fixed percentage of every dollar before you spend a cent. Automate your investments so they grow quietly in the background. Track your expenses without emotion. The richest people don't think about money every day. They let systems handle it. The broke obsess over bills. The wealthy focus on strategy. Because when your systems handle your survival, your mind is free to create. The same applies to personal growth. Don't rely on motivation to learn, grow, or improve. Schedule time every day for development, reading, thinking, reflecting. Turn it into a ritual. The difference between amateurs and professionals is routine. Amateurs work when they feel like it. Professionals work until it feels right. Systems give you consistency when emotions try to dictate inconsistency. And that consistency is where growth compounds. The most dangerous belief is thinking that you'll always be motivated. You won't. There will be days when you don't want to work, when nothing feels right, when you question your path. That's when systems save you. Because they don't ask for permission, they demand execution. You don't need to feel inspired to follow a system. You just follow it. And over time, that discipline builds momentum, and that momentum builds mastery. Think of your life as a machine. Every habit is a gear. Every decision is a lever. Every system you build keeps the engine running, even when you're not watching. The more gears you automate, the smoother life becomes. The person without systems lives in chaos. Every day feels like a decision, every action a debate. The person with systems lives in calm focus. Every day feels like rhythm, every action a step forward. It's not about working harder, it's about designing smarter. Hard work alone won't save you if your life is built on randomness. You can't scale chaos. You can't multiply confusion. But when your systems are tight, your habits efficient, your processes clear, everything compounds. The small wins start stacking. The good days start outnumbering the bad. Progress stops being accidental and starts becoming predictable. That's why systems are the foundation of freedom. People think discipline is a cage, but in truth, it's the key. Systems don't restrict you, they liberate you. When your finances are automated, your savings grow without stress. When your routines are fixed, your mind is free to create. When your habits are structured, you stop wasting energy on decisions that don't matter. Freedom doesn't come from doing whatever you want. It comes from designing your life so that the right things happen naturally. The most powerful people in the world don't rely on willpower. They rely on structure. They know willpower is a muscle, and muscles fatigue. So they build systems that remove friction. They plan their days the night before. They block time for their priorities. They eliminate distractions before they appear. They don't hope for focus. They engineer it. That's the art of mastery, designing your environment so success becomes the path of least resistance. When you start living by systems, you realize something profound. Success is boring. It's repetitive. It's unglamorous. It's doing the same small things every single day with precision. And while the world chases excitement, you build excellence. The world sees your results and calls you lucky. They don't see the structure behind it. They see the glory, not the grind. But you'll know, every great achievement is built on a system that never sleeps. So, ask yourself, are you designing your days, or are your days designing you? Every hour you live without structure is an hour stolen by chaos. Every habit you automate is a battle you'll never fight again. Build systems that protect your energy, direct your focus, and amplify your potential, because in the end, wealth, growth, success, they're not accidents. They're the natural result of systems that work even when you don't. When you live with systems, life stops feeling overwhelming. You wake up knowing what to do, where to go, and how to move forward. You no longer drift, you drive. And that's the ultimate power, to live by design, not by default. Build systems so strong that even your weakest days can't break them. Build routines so sharp that even when motivation dies, momentum lives. That's how empires are built, not through emotion, but through structure. Not through bursts of effort, but through consistency made effortless. Because the truth is simple. You don't need to be motivated every day if your systems are. So, how do you build wealth from zero? You start where you are, with what you have, and you never stop. You stay consistent when it's boring, disciplined when it's hard, and patient when it's slow. Because in the end, time will reward those who respect it. You don't need luck. You don't need privilege. You just need purpose. Every dollar saved, every book read, every opportunity taken, they all stack quietly, powerfully, until one day you'll wake up financially free. Remember, this: wealth doesn't change who you are. It reveals who you've become. Build yourself, and wealth will follow. This is not the end. It's the beginning of your financial awakening. From zero to abundance, from confusion to clarity, from surviving to thriving. Start small, think big, move now. This was How to Build Wealth from Zero, an original motivational audiobook by Wisdom in Minutes Audiobooks. Because wisdom isn't learned, it's lived.